You were so close. The project was almost finished. The relationship was finally working. The goal you had chased for months was right there. Visible, reachable, real. And then something happened. You pulled back. You self-destructed. You did something that made no illogical sense, and afterward, you couldn't fully explain why. This wasn't bad luck. It wasn't weakness, and it wasn't a coincidence that it happened at exactly that moment. Your brain did this on purpose. Not consciously, not maliciously, but with a precision that is almost impossible to ignore once you understand the mechanism. Because what looks like self-sabotage is actually your nervous system executing a specific protection protocol, one that activates most powerfully at the exact moment success becomes real. Psychologists call it upper limiting. Researcher Gay Hendricks identified a deeply embedded psychological ceiling that the brain enforces whenever circumstances push beyond what it has decided is a safe level of success, happiness, or visibility. But the neuroscience goes deeper. Your brain's primary function is not to make you happy or successful. It is to keep you alive. And to do that, it relies on one thing above everything else: predictability, the known, the familiar, the environment it has already developed strategies to survive. Success is unpredictable. It changes your social dynamics. It raises stakes. It creates new visibility, new expectations of failure at a higher level. To a nervous system calibrated on familiarity, all of that registers as threat. Neuroscientist Antonio Damasio's research on the somatic marker hypothesis explains this precisely. Your brain assigns emotional tags to outcomes, signals that tell you whether to approach or avoid. If your early experiences with achievement were associated with instability, a parent who became critical when you succeeded, a social environment or standing out made you a target, your brain tagged success itself as dangerous. The result is an automatic avoidance response that fires precisely when success becomes close enough to feel real, not when it's abstract, when it's right there. This is why the sabotage always happens at the worst possible moment. The argument that ends the relationship just as it deepened, the procrastination that derails the project in its final stage. The nervous system isn't confused. It is working exactly as programmed. It has identified the threat, and it is pulling you back to safety. Most people who self-sabotage spend years interpreting it as evidence of fundamental unworthiness, as proof that they don't deserve what they want. The shame of the pattern becomes more damaging than the pattern itself. The first tool is expansion tolerance training. When something good happens, a compliment, an achievement, a moment of genuine progress, instead of deflecting or minimizing it, you pause. You let it land, you stay with the discomfort of it being real for 10 seconds longer than feels natural. Over time, this recalibrates the emotional tag your brain has attached to success. The second tool is pattern interruption at the threshold. Learn to recognize your specific sabotage signature, the thought, the behavior, the impulse that appears every time you get close. For some, it's picking a fight. For others, it's sudden, urgent distractions. Once you can name the signature, you create a deliberate pause between the impulse and the action, just long enough to ask, is this protection or is this fear? There is a difference between genuine danger and the discomfort of becoming someone new. Your brain learned to protect you by keeping you small. That was never the full story of who you are. Subscribe to Quiet Wiring. Every week, we take the patterns that have quietly run your life and show you exactly what the science says about where they came from and how they change.